the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
So we had the lead guard, like Zakai is going to probably feast. I would expect him to have the highest assist totals he's had in his career with this group next year. And that helps because he's one of the best passers in college basketball. But I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be more of an NBA looking offense this year for Tennessee, because you're going to have a lot more defined roles than you have the last 2 years.
Well, and it goes back to, how they've sort of progressed post-COVID, I would say.
Yeah.
Versus the Kennedy Chandler team, where they, didn't involve as much pick and roll, but they used it where necessary. Team was a lot more spaced out. You didn't see as many multiple non-shooter lineups. This past year, I would say very NBA style offense towards the end of the year, with DK as sort of a point forward.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to kind of get into it's not going to be that exact thing unless I won't be shocked at all if they use Lanier as the, sort of quasi point guard and ball screens for a lot of this. But Zakai, extremely skilled ball screen operator. We've seen Gainey do quite well with it. I think, the cool thing about it this season is it sort of goes back to what I'd hoped to see more of over previous seasons, which was, and I think this just kind of comes down to height, maybe, is why it didn't work out. Josiah as the screener in those sets, where he can pop, he can roll, he can do, but Josiah was never going to be the type of guy who attacked the rim all the time the way you wanted, which that's okay. Not everybody's built like that, but perhaps Milicic is, or you definitely know Akpara is going to roll to the rim every time. Estrella is going to roll quite well. So you've just got more options this year, a more well-rounded lineup. The biggest question I actually have, and it feels really weird saying this about a Rick Barnes Tennessee team, is going to be defense. Obviously, Zakai is really good. Shaq's really good. Akpara graded out extremely well as a rim protector at Ohio State. Lanier was a terrible defender at North Florida. Dubar, quite a bad defender at Hofstra. Gainey was fine last year, I would say, charitably. I wouldn't say it was bad.
I think it just depends on the matchups. Like the faster the guard, the more susceptible he was. It was just hard for him to stay in front of like really, really fast guards.
And we know Carr, we just don't have much data on him one way or the other. Same with Phillips. Estrella fared really well against Edey, but to be honest, that's about the only time I can remember him standing out really well defensively. Usually it was offensively, or was impressed with Estrella.
Yeah.
So I think Tennessee can guard guards really well. I even think that they can guard centers. I do worry about them with wing matchups, because you look at the height splits of this is our proposed lineup again: Ziegler, Meshack, Lanier, Milicic, Akpara. 5'9", 6'4", 6'4", 6'10", 6'11". So what are you going to do when the opponent's best player is 6'8"?
I mean, it's going to be a lot of Meshack.
It kind of has to be.
Yeah.
But you're giving up 4 inches there. And he can handle that, but then, I don't know. It's a thing that it might not always come up, but I do wonder about that.
Yeah, it's like no roster's perfect. Like every roster is going to have holes and things like that, but like I think that's just a Meshack, and I'll ride for Meshack in that regard. Final thing here.
I will put out a prediction now, and we'll revisit it come March 2025. This will be, aside from the obvious Grant and Admiral team, the best offense Tennessee's had in 20 years.
So on the flip side then, because I mean, we've expected top 3 defenses. Do you think this will be like, if Barnes is able to pull off a top 3 defense, is like his best coaching job in his Tennessee career, if he's able to have a top 5 defense again with this group?
Yes, I think unquestionably. If they pull off top 3 again, that's his best defensive coaching job he's ever put together, which would probably surpass 17-18 for me, which I think was, at that point, the best defensive job, because it's not as if any of the guys on that roster were true ball stoppers as players, outside of I guess Kyle Alexander.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. But he turned that into a top 5 defense. So, I mean, yeah, I think the offense is going to be really good. Weird to say it, but the defense is the question. But no, I mean, it's kind of a bummer again. And I know there's a lot of exciting things happening at Tennessee right now. Baseball, obviously, softball had a pretty good run. I don't think it was bad. It wasn't ideal, but not bad. Football is poised to have a pretty solid season. I'm sure the women's soccer team will be good again because they seemingly always are. So it's not as if Tennessee's short of entertaining products, is what I'm getting at. To say nothing of the new women's coach for women's hoops.
I think it's going to be very entertaining. I think fans are going to really, really dive into.
It's just setting up to be an awesome next 9 months to be a Tennessee fan, is my thought.
I agree, Will. Final thing on Tennessee basketball, though. Santi, Triple J, Tobe, and Adu. Who do you think the Vols will miss most over the course of the season? Who's absent?
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.